Okay, good afternoon, traders. Welcome to this special session. It's a daily session. It's going to be pretty short, about 15 minutes, and it's going to be only on one pair. Let's go. It's live on YouTube. I hope you guys can see there. I hope it's working. So let's go. I keep this page open, the ProWave page, so that you guys can see it. You may want to at least like the page or follow the page. I don't know which one is going to give you the notification when I post the link, because the link will be different times, right? It will be depending on when I have an available 15 minutes to do it. So you'll get the link. It's going to be in this page, and it's going to be on top, and set it up so you get a notification when I do it. So you will get it. You register, share it, give it to a friend, and ask a friend to give it to another friend, right? It's going to be very educational. It's going to help you to understand how structure works. Because there's still a lot of people who are very skeptical of whether anybody can forecast the market and whether Elliott wave works, or, well, I wouldn't say Elliott wave, whether wave patterns work, or whether, some people say it's coincidental. Some say nobody can read the market, nobody can tell what it is. There's so many myths out there, especially people who are ignorant of how to do it. They're the more vocal one to tell you it doesn't work, right? Well, most of these webinars will show you, it will develop your confidence for you to see that it actually works. So you can share this with people, and you can even share the recording of it, the YouTube recording, so that they can see that it works, and they can see that you can use it to make money, because I am using it to make money. And a lot of my traders, majority of my traders are successful traders using this to make money, right? So let's look at this. It always starts to go back and see, well, if you can forecast the market, show me one time way back when you forecast the market, right? The first one we showed 2 years ago, how that forecast was perfect. Well, let's look at the forecast that was about 1.5 years ago, 2016, this one. And we looked at this pattern and we said, in a structure like this, when you have a structure like this, there's a likelihood this is a correction and this will come back to retest this low, which means it's going to break out of this structure, coming down, retest that low, and then you will be probably starting an up move. And that might be a yearly uptrend, right? So, if we go back here, you can actually see how that worked, right? It showed you you're going to get a little pullback. You're going to go. Did it work that way? Just got to click on it and see what it works. Perfect. Went up a little. Perfect sell setup. Come down here. So what we're doing right now we're consolidating in this zone. Does that mean it's over? No, that actually is a good thing that it's consolidating here, because what they're telling you is you're going to get one more impulse down. And you definitely want this trade. I'm not going to go into the details of this structure, why this structure behaves. So what is the structure, how to analyze, and all. That's a whole 6 weeks program, right? So that's a long time, but you can understand, and you can see that these structures actually work, and they work very well. So remember when this one was happening, we were saying, I'm looking for sell setup. So let's go in daily. So on the daily chart, we were in this sideways move. And if you'd be following me for a while, you would know that we sold here, we sold here, and we sold here. Those are the places that I sold. This one was a break even. This one, I think the one was, 2 of them were profit, one a break even, and I think another one sold here that was break even. That break even, because I thought this one was going to go. So I put it to break even trade. No problem. I'm in the sell again. So what would this do? I think this one is going to go, because it looks to me like this structure is complete. But if you know anything about wave analysis, these consolidations could go on for quite a long time. They can be very complicated, right? It doesn't mean you cannot trade it, and you will not trade it. You will. You can trade it and you will trade, but it can go on for years. As you see yesterday, or Friday, the one I did, New Zealand was for 2 years, that consolidation. That's not the worst consolidation. We are in consolidation that goes on sometime for 3 years, and that is the PUNCAD. You can go look at it, right? That daily consolidation, weekly, they take years sometimes. These are big consolidations. What you do is you trade within those consolidations. You buy and you sell as long as you understand how structures are. There were some buy setups in here that some of my traders took. You can look at them in the 4-hour. I wasn't keen on them, right? You can see that was a buy setup. This was actually, I sold in here 2 times. I can tell you I sold inside here 2 times and made money, right? I can tell you I looked at this and I sold 1 time for a break even. Well, why am I going for the sell? Because I'm a long-term trader and I want to get in from the top and stay with that trade if it's going. If I see that structure is changing and that trade is not going, what I do is I close the trade, take a break even, and wait for another sell. So I'm in this sell now, going down. Is this the one that is going to go? I don't know. But the worst case scenario is I'll try to get a break even trade. Maybe a very small loss if I'm not there and it spikes up, take me out, and that's it, right? But if I see structure, I understand that the structure is changing, I will take a break-even trade, maybe a small profit. But my big trade is the trade to the downside. That's the one I'm aiming for, and not downside in this level only, but way down to break out of this structure. And we know they do that very often. So if you were in my weekly outlook, you remember what we said, watch for a sell setup. If you get a sell setup, take it. If you don't, you can wait for a sell setup now, which is a flag under this one to confirm the movement. So let's look at it and let me see what are the possibilities of how this thing can develop. So I'm going to give you very short some of the possibilities of how this can develop. This is your first impulse, that's your correction. We're always wondering, is this the end of this impulse? And there's a possibility that that impulse ends. If that impulse ends, you're probably going to get something like this, and you're going to get a down trade. You may or may not get a very big correction somewhere in the middle here before it goes, right? That's one option. The second option is we're still in this impulse up, and it's not over. It's making some kind of a running flat or expanding flat, which means this comes here, make one move more to the downside, and then start to go back for another impulse. That is also possible. It comes back for another impulse, it's going to break the top, and then either start that down move, right? Now, at that point, we're definitely going to get a longer down move. Even if that longer down move turns out to be another 3-wave correction, 1, 2, 3, and then start the next wave up, which is going to be a 5-wave structure, right? That is how it can develop. To let you understand in basics how this thing can work. Now, it's not as easy as I draw it and as I put it, right? I'm just simplifying it for you guys. The waves are more complicated. They're more difficult to identify. But once you train yourself to do that, and you're using the rules that we used to do it, it's going to be easy for you to identify, right? It's not that difficult. So for most of you, what is your trade setup? Your trade setup will be, let me see if I can get a trade here. You got an impulse, you're getting a correction. We identified, we told you look for it. So if you're not in trade, you want a little flag here, and then you sell that, put it to break even, especially as it comes to this low. Because two options you're going to look for. If they're making a running flat, they'll stop somewhere here and go back up. If they're making an expanding flat, they're going to come somewhere here and then go back up. If they're going down, they're going to continue to go. So that is why you want to put it to break even, because you don't know which of those three options is going to happen. Worst case, you get break even out of the trade. But if any of those three options happen, you could still get some profit depending on how far the running flat goes. If it's an expanding flat, I'll take profit out of it. If it is going down for the big move, I'll just keep that trade forever. Well, at least until it reaches target, which is going to be a couple of months from now. And I stay in trades for months. Don't be surprised about that. So go to the 1 hour. If you're not in this trade, and you should have been, some of my traders managed to see it, you should have been either from in here or from here. If you're not in that trade, well, you wait now, because now they'll have to tell you. They'll have to make some kind of a consolidation here. Small one, like this, for example. And then you take that to break out of that trade. You take that one to the downside. You should have a strategy as to how to trade this, right? So when you get into this trade, you'll probably keep it until it comes to this low, which is quite a lot for most of you. That's a lot of pips. So for me, that's quite a small trade, right? Because I go for longer term trades. Come on. Yep. You'll want to keep it until it comes to this level, which is, let's say, a couple, I think should be about 100 plus pips. Oh, that's about 200 plus pips. So you will have enough pips to go to take profit and get out of the trade if it starts to go back up. You will actually be buying it. That will be till about next week, and in the weekly outlook, I'll be able to show you how that happens. So that's your trade for today. Understand structures, figure out how they work, and that's it. I think we made it in less than 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, we can go, but we got like 4 minutes for that. So basically, probably I spend the 4 minutes telling you guys something that is more important than just the questions, right? One of the myths, I could probably do this every day, one myth that is in the market that you need to actually get rid of. Remember, I stressed the one in the weekly outlook, where the market is not a zero-sum games for traders, because you're not that big on the market to be traders have to win for traders to lose, or traders have to lose for traders to win. That's not true, right? The market is a buy and sell game, and people who are buying are not normally selling back what they bought, or people who are selling are not normally buying back what they bought. So the market is not such a zero-sum game in that sense. There's not always winners and losers in the game. Now, there's another one that goes, sell the top, buy the bottom, right? Everybody heard that. That's absolutely true. What is the myth in that? What is the problem with that? The problem is no trader in the world can tell you where the top is or where the bottom is. That's just true. They don't know where the top is and where the bottom is. So let's look at this now. And let's look at this chart. Is this a top? Should you be selling here? Amazing question, right? Is that a top? Should you be selling here? Well, let's go to the daily and look at the chart. Oh, no, that's not a top. So should you be selling there again? That's the question. Because it's not a top. It looks to me like a bottom. If you're looking at a weekly chart, that whole thing looks like you're somewhere at the bottom of that whole thing. Should you be selling there? You see where this thing contradicts? It sounds really nice when you say it, but when you start to study it and you start to analyze it and you start to figure out what really does it mean. It's beautiful to say sell at the top and buy at the bottom. It's really, it sounds like a brilliant idea. But it's an unimplemented idea, an idea you cannot implement. It's impossible to implement. Nobody knows where the top and bottom is. And if you're going to just buy top and bottom, even in a daily or 240, you don't know where that is. So let's look back at the 240. People say, why look at the weekly? I buy tops and bottoms in the daily and the 240. So, okay. Was this the top? Was this the top? Is this the top? Is this the top? And how would you know that is the top? No, you don't. You will never know that. But there's a way to trade when these things starts to go down. And that has nothing to do with buying and selling top and bottom. That has something to do with analyzing the structure, understanding what the pattern is in general, what pattern you're looking for, what pattern has completed itself, and how that works, right? Why pattern works? I think that's a question everybody has. Tomorrow we'll talk about that, why the patterns work after the daily one tomorrow. So everybody has a good day. Thank you for coming. Please remember to share the link so that more people can get these little short educational one. I think it's worth looking at. And you can learn something. It does help you. It does give you at least a little understanding of structure and where it's going to go. And I'll stop the recording and I'll end the live session.